My name is Hudson, and I learned the hardest way possible that blood doesn't always mean loyalty. I was 28 when Grandpa Richard passed away. He'd been my rock growing up, the only person who treated me like I mattered. My dad, Marcus, had always favored my younger brother, Derek. Derek got the praise, the college fund, the business opportunities. I got the leftovers. Hudson, we're meeting at the lawyer's office tomorrow for the will reading, Dad said over the phone, his voice flat. I'll be there, I replied. Grandpa mentioned wanting to leave me something. He told me he'd taken care of both of us. We'll see what he decided, Dad said. 10 o'clock sharp, don't be late. I won't. This matters to me, Dad. We'll discuss it tomorrow. He hung up before I could say more. The next day, I sat in Attorney Wilson's office across from Dad and Derek. Derek smirked at me like he knew something I didn't. Thanks for coming, gentlemen, Wilson said, adjusting his glasses. This is always a difficult time. Let's just get on with it, Derek said, checking his phone. Attorney Wilson cleared his throat. I'll read the will now. I, Richard Patterson, being of sound mind... Actually, Dad interrupted, there's been a change. My father revised his will 2 weeks before he died. I have the updated document here. He slid papers across the desk. My heart pounded. What do you mean, revised? I talked to Grandpa a month before he died. He never mentioned changing anything. People change their minds, Dad said coldly. Wilson examined the documents, frowning. This does appear to have Mr. Patterson's signature. It states that the entire estate, the house, savings, investment portfolio, approximately $850,000, goes solely to Derek Patterson. What? I jumped up. That can't be right! Grandpa promised me half! We talked about it multiple times! Derek leaned back in his chair. Guess he changed his mind, bro. Maybe he realized who the successful son was, who actually made something of themselves. What's that supposed to mean? I snapped. You're still working retail, Hudson. I run my own consulting firm. Grandpa respected success. Derek, that's enough, Dad said, but he didn't sound sincere. Hudson, your grandfather made his choice. We have to respect it. This is insane! I turned to Wilson. Can they do this? Just suddenly produce a new will? Wilson shifted uncomfortably. The document appears legitimate. It's dated, signed, and witnessed. Unless you have grounds to contest. I do have grounds. Grandpa had dementia. He was barely lucid those last weeks. You know that, Dad. He was sharp as a tack when he signed this, Dad said coldly. You're just bitter because you've never measured up to your brother. Richard saw that. He saw who deserved his legacy. Those words cut deep. You're lying. Grandpa loved me. He told me I reminded him of himself. He wouldn't do this. The will speaks for itself, Derek said, standing up. Dad, can we finish this? I have a client meeting at noon. Your brother just got cut out completely and you're worried about a meeting? I stared at him in disbelief. Life moves on, Hudson. Not everyone gets a participation trophy. Wilson continued reading, and with every word, my world crumbled. Derek got everything. The lake house Grandpa built with his own hands, the savings he'd accumulated over 40 years, even his vintage car collection worth at least $100,000. There's also a clause here, Wilson added, stating that Hudson Patterson is not to contest this will under any circumstances, or he forfeits any claim to the estate. That doesn't even make sense, I protested. If I'm not in the will anyway, what am I forfeiting? It's a standard clause, Dad said dismissively. No, it's not, I shot back. I've never heard of anything like that. This meeting is concluded, Wilson finally said, closing the folder. I'll need Derek to sign some paperwork to begin the asset transfer. Outside, I confronted Dad in the parking lot. You did this. I don't know how, but you orchestrated this whole thing. Dad's eyes went cold. Prove it. You've always been paranoid, Hudson. Always playing the victim. Maybe that's why Richard cut you out. He didn't cut me out. You made this happen because you've always wanted Derek to have everything. You've treated me like I was invisible my whole life. Maybe if you'd applied yourself, worked harder, been more like your brother. I worked plenty hard. You just never noticed because you were too busy praising Derek. Get over it, Dad said, walking away. Life isn't fair. Learn to deal with disappointment. It's about time you grew up. I stood there shaking, feeling utterly powerless. The brother I'd grown up with and the father who should have protected me had just stolen my inheritance. But I wasn't going to let it go. Not this time. For 3 weeks, I spiraled. I barely ate, couldn't focus at work, and spent every night wondering who I could call for help. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon, everything changed. I was leaving my apartment when a woman in her 50s approached me. Hudson Patterson? Who's asking? My name is Margaret Chen. I was your grandfather's neighbor for 20 years. She handed me a manila envelope. He gave me this 6 months before he died. Made me promise to give it to you if anything seemed wrong with his will. My hands trembled as I took it. What's inside? The truth, she said simply. Your grandfather knew your father might try something. He came to my house very worried. He said Marcus had been pressuring him to change the will, to give everything to Derek. Why didn't you come forward sooner? I promised to wait a month after the reading. He didn't want to cause problems if everything went smoothly, but it didn't, did it? No, it didn't. She squeezed my arm. Read it, then fight back. Your grandfather believed in you. Inside my apartment, I opened the envelope. There were 3 documents. Grandpa's original will, leaving everything split 50-50ths between Derek and me. A notarized letter from Grandpa explaining his wishes, and a statement from his doctor confirming he had full mental capacity when he wrote it. I called a lawyer immediately. Whitmore Law, this is attorney Sarah Whitmore, a professional voice answered. I need help contesting a fraudulent will, I said, my voice stronger than it had been in weeks. 2 days later, I sat in her office, documents spread before us. This is clear-cut fraud, Sarah said, studying the papers. Your grandfather's original will was executed properly 6 months before his death. This revised will your father produced, it's fake. Can you prove it? We'll need a handwriting analysis, but I'm confident. Your grandfather's neighbor, Mrs. Chen, is willing to testify. We also need to depose your father's witnesses. What are the chances we win? Sarah looked me in the eye. 95%. Your grandfather documented everything. But Hudson, your father committed forgery and estate fraud. He could face criminal charges. Prison time. Good, I said without hesitation. File everything. I want him prosecuted. This will destroy your family relationships. There's no going back. They destroyed it first when they stole from me. I want justice. She nodded. Then let's get to work. Over the next month, Sarah built an airtight case. We hired a forensic document examiner named Dr. Timothy Brooks. The signatures don't match, Dr. Brooks explained, showing us overlaid images. The pressure points are wrong. The letter formation is inconsistent. Whoever signed that revised will, it wasn't Richard Patterson. Could someone have traced his signature? I asked. Absolutely. That's exactly what happened here. See these hesitation marks? Someone was carefully tracing. A genuine signature flows naturally. We also tracked down the witnesses. Sarah deposed them over video call. Mr. Henderson, you signed as a witness to Richard Patterson's will revision? The elderly man on screen looked confused. Someone called me about 3 months ago asking if I'd be a witness for insurance paperwork. They sent forms by mail. I signed and mailed them back. Did you actually see Mr. Patterson sign the will? No, ma'am. I never met the man. The person who contacted me said his name was Marcus. Sarah turned to me after the call. Your father tricked these people into signing witness forms, then attached them to his forged will. He's going down, Hudson. We filed the lawsuit and requested a criminal investigation. Dad's attorney called within hours. Hudson, this is Robert Chen, your father's lawyer. We need to settle this quietly. No settlements, I said firmly. See you in court. Your father is willing to give you $200,000 to make this go away. My share is $425,000, and this isn't about money anymore. It's about the truth. The preliminary hearing was intense. Dad and Derek sat on one side with their attorney. I sat with Sarah on the other. Judge Morrison reviewed our evidence. Mr. Marcus Patterson, these are serious allegations. Forgery, fraud, elder exploitation. Dad stood up. Your Honor, this is a misunderstanding. My father did want Derek to have the estate. Sit down, Judge Morrison said sharply. I've reviewed the forensic analysis. The signature on the revised will is not your father's. Did you forge this document? No, I would never. Then who did? The judge's voice cut through the courtroom. You produced this will. You benefited from it. Your son received $850,000 based on a fraudulent document. Maybe Hudson did it to frame me. That's absurd, Judge Morrison said. Mr. Hudson Patterson had nothing to gain from forging a will that cut him out completely. Sarah stood. Your Honor, we have 5 witnesses who will testify that Marcus Patterson manipulated them into signing as witnesses without seeing the testator. We have the original will properly executed. We have medical records proving Richard Patterson was competent. We have a sworn statement from the deceased himself warning this might happen. The judge turned to Dad. Mr. Patterson, I'm ordering you to return all assets from the estate immediately. I'm also referring this case to the district attorney for criminal prosecution. Dad's face went white. You can't do this. I just did. Bailiff, please escort Mr. Patterson out. We're in recess. Outside the courtroom, Dad grabbed my arm. Hudson, please, let's talk about this like family. I pulled away. We're not family. Family doesn't steal from each other, Derek stepped forward. Come on, Hudson. Dad made a mistake. Don't send him to prison. A mistake? I laughed bitterly. He forged legal documents. He stole from a dead man, his own father. That's not a mistake. That's a crime. I'll give you your share, Derek said desperately. Every penny. Just drop the criminal charges. Too late for that. The DA's already involved. Dad's voice turned threatening. You'll regret this. You're tearing this family apart. You tore it apart when you decided Derek deserved everything and I deserved nothing, I said. You've treated me like garbage my entire life. Well, now you get to face consequences. Sarah appeared beside me. Hudson, let's go. They can't contact you anymore. It's witness intimidation. As we walked away, I heard Derek shouting, This is insane! He's our brother! Should have thought about that before you cashed those checks, Sarah called back. My mother called that night, sobbing. How can you do this to your father? How could he do it to me, Mom? How could you let him? I didn't know. Don't lie. You knew. You've always known how he treats me versus Derek. She hung up crying, but I felt nothing but relief. The criminal trial took 6 months. Dad was charged with forgery, fraud, and attempted theft by deception. The evidence was overwhelming. On the day of sentencing, I sat in the courtroom as the judge read the verdict. Marcus Patterson, you have been found guilty on all counts. You exploited your father's death for personal gain. You forged legal documents. You manipulated innocent people into being unwitting accomplices. You attempted to defraud your own son of his rightful inheritance. This court finds your actions particularly egregious given the family relationship involved. Dad sat motionless, his expensive suit seeming to hang off him. I sentence you to 4 years in state prison and order full restitution of $425,000 to Hudson Patterson, plus punitive damages of $200,000 for emotional distress and litigation costs. Dad crumpled in his chair. Derek sat behind him, pale and shaking. The judge continued, Derek Patterson, while you weren't charged criminally, you knowingly benefited from fraud. You will return every penny. You're being sued in civil court for damages, and I encourage maximum penalties. Your Honor, please, Derek started. I'm not finished. Family relationships do not exempt anyone from the law. In fact, exploiting family trust makes these crimes more reprehensible, not less. After the sentencing, Sarah and I stood outside the courthouse. You won, Hudson, she said, smiling. Completely. I know. I felt lighter than I had in months. Thank you for believing me when no one else did. You did the right thing. Not many people have the courage to stand up to family like this. Within weeks, I received everything Grandpa had intended for me. $425,000, half ownership of the house, half the car collection, plus the $200,000 in punitive damages. Derek was forced to sell his own house to repay everything, and his consulting business collapsed when clients learned about the scandal. My aunt called me repeatedly. How could you do this to your father? They're family, Hudson. How could they do it to me? I replied calmly. They stole from me, Aunt Marie. They forged documents. They lied to my face. I just held them accountable. But family forgives. You show mercy. No, I interrupted. Family doesn't steal. What they did wasn't a family dispute. It was premeditated fraud. It was a crime, and I don't forgive crimes just because we share DNA. Your grandfather would be ashamed of you. My grandfather left me evidence because he knew this would happen. He'd be proud I fought back. She hung up on me, but I didn't care anymore. I visited Grandpa's grave on a crisp autumn morning, the original will in my hand. You knew, I said aloud, kneeling by his headstone. You knew Dad would try something, so you protected me. Thank you, Grandpa. I fought for what you wanted, and I won. The lake house became my weekend retreat. I restored it exactly how Grandpa had kept it. I quit my retail job and used part of the inheritance to start my own business, a restoration company specializing in vintage homes. Every success felt like honoring Grandpa's memory, the man who believed in me when my own father didn't. Dad wrote me from prison once, claiming he did it because Derek had business debts. He said he was trying to help his son. I never responded. Derek sent emails begging me to help him financially, saying his life was ruined. I blocked his address after the third message. Some people think I should have been merciful, that family deserves second chances. But mercy without accountability isn't mercy. It's enabling. Dad and Derek made their choices knowing exactly what they were doing. They gambled that I'd be too weak to fight back. I made my choice too, to stand up for myself and honor Grandpa's wishes. Grandpa taught me that integrity matters more than keeping the peace. Justice isn't about revenge. It's about standing up for what's right, even when it costs you everything. I sleep well at night knowing I honored his legacy the way he deserved. The lake house is mine, the inheritance is mine, the peace of mind is mine, and I earned every bit of it. Have you ever had a family member try to cheat you out of what was rightfully yours? Would you have had the courage to take them to court, knowing it meant losing your whole family? Like and subscribe for more stories about people who refused to be victims and fought back the right way.